Remember I promised you we'll be going to the CBD every day? So the glucose goes inside the cell. It goes through a 20-step pathway. The 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy. Isn't that why we eat? Now, the end result of that 20-step pathway is a chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. Pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose that gets fed into the next section of the cell, often called the powerhouse, because this little 8-step pathway delivers to us a whopping 36 units of energy. So the question now arises, why does a 20-step pathway only give us 2 units, and why does an 8-step pathway give us 36 units of energy? The difference is oxygen. This is called an anaerobic pathway, anaerobic because it doesn't use oxygen. It produces energy by the process of fermentation. That's where a cancer cell lives. Remember what we looked at yesterday? Doesn't like oxygen, consumes 15 times the rate of glucose because it's running up there. Interesting. This pathway is called an aerobic pathway. It's called an aerobic pathway because it uses oxygen. Tomorrow we're going to pursue that. But today we've got to stay on track. We're looking at the journey of glucose. So the first place that the liver will send the glucose, number 1, is to the cell to be burnt as fuel. But on a high carbohydrate diet, you got a lot of glucose left over. And so now the body stores it in what I call the most amazing fuel, quick fuel supply in the body. It's called glycogen. They're little molecules of glucose just sitting in your muscle cell waiting to be used. Do you wonder how you had the energy to exercise this morning? We only gave you broth last night. You only had aloe lemon water this morning, and yet you did it. It's because of your glycogen stores. They're already sitting in your muscle cell, and as soon as you move the body requiring more, they just pluck it through the energy cycle. Pluck another one through the energy cycle. What an amazing process. It actually brings me to that verse in the Bible at Psalm 139 verse 14, where the Bible says, I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvellous are thy works, and that my soul knows right well. So number 2, the glucose is stored as glycogen. I call glycogen the diabetic's best kept secret. Because if blood sugar goes low, what do? Get on the exercise bike. Release your glycogen stores. In fact, one young man, a diabetic, he said to me, why didn't anyone tell me about glycogen? Now I can understand his frustration because, wow. Let's go back to glucose. So on a high carbohydrate diet, we've still got glucose left over because the cell can only store so much. By the way, the liver stores a little bit, and this glycogen can be sent all over the body, whereas the glycogen that's in the muscle cell, it's like in a prison, it can only be used by the muscle cell. And when you think about it, that's the cell that has probably the most demand on it. So what's the body going to do with the rest? What's the liver going to do with the rest of the glucose? Well, we've got an amazing fuel depot, fuel supply. I call it the basement stores. You know what the basement stores are? They're the fat cells.